Hello everyone, it's Phoenix, and I'm going to do a video today to show the new features of this master recipe list add-on I've been working on for like a month and a half, or geez, more than that now. I've devoted a lot of time to it, and I've actually got some new features I really wanted to show you guys because they're pretty massive, especially with the new provisioning writ thing where you have to basically be doing provisioning writs all the time to get the recipe fragments. This is going to make things so much easier. A couple things first. There were some requests for the way that stuff is tracked in your inventory. As you know, if you've been using the add-on, it's got these, well, I have them turned off right now, but there's inventory add-on, or inventory icons, basically, that by default, any recipe that you have tracking will have a yellow check mark. Any recipe that you already know would have a green check mark, and any recipe that one of your alts knew would have a gray check mark. Iontier on the ESOUI.com forums posted saying it would be actually useful to be able to toggle that to another option where instead it would still have the yellow check mark if you're tracking, if you go in here and you set things to tracking. So you still be able to do that, but to be able to have recipes, the green check mark show up on recipes that you don't know yet. Saying that it would be, you don't need to see green check marks for recipes you know, because when it strikes your eye, the gray ones would be better for ones you know. But anyway, that was the request, to make recipes that you didn't know yet show up as green. So I actually went one step further than that. I did implement a new feature, but I did it a little differently. What I did was I added this alternate icon behavior here. And so what this does is it's off by default, and these other options are automatically disabled if you turn it off. And this is per character. So if you've seen other parts of the add-on, there's this new feature where you can actually choose a character in the list here, and there's buttons here where you can click this button to automatically set to tracking every recipe in the game that this particular character doesn't know yet, so you can find all the ones for a particular character. I actually moved that feature or ported that feature into the inventory icons. If you turn on alternate icon behavior, you can actually select any of your characters that are currently set to tracking, which basically means the currently showing in the known by list, keeping track of the recipes they know. The add-on knows about them, and what you can do is you select the character here, and by default it's whatever character you're currently logged in as, and the character that you select here, it's going to change the way those icons in the inventory behave. So if you know the recipe, it's not going to show an icon. If you do not yet know a recipe, it's going to show the green check mark that catches your eye. There's also an option to turn on the alternate mode known icon, and that changes as well. Basically, like I said, yellow check marks for things you're tracking. In alternate mode, green check marks for recipes that whatever character you select here doesn't know yet. And he doesn't have to be the one you're logged in as. You can actually keep track of recipes that aren't known by any of your characters on any character you're logged in as. Like, if you were playing an alt, you could go into here and select your main provisioner, and any recipes that you get on your alt are going to show a green check mark if your main provisioner that you select doesn't know it yet. So you can also do that with tracking, but that's just another way to. And if you turn this option on, we'll put a gray check mark on any recipes that are already known by this character, or you can just turn that off so no check marks show up if you know it. So that's a new feature, and that's one of many. A lot of stuff behind the scenes. I literally completely rebuilt the way that provisioning writs are detected, using quest events and update checks that keep track of when quests are updated or gained or completed, and that check is no longer running every time you interact with the add-on. It doesn't have to check and compare the item IDs in real time as you're hovering over a tooltip, or more importantly, as you're text searching. Speeds that up like by hundreds of percents, literally. So that's pretty cool. But the main thing I wanted to show off is in the global options. I have actually, in this version, hooked into the crafting station itself and added a ton of really cool options I think you guys will like. It's really helpful for anyone who spends time at a provisioning station. These are the known by tooltips were already there. Inventory icons I was already talking about. You can adjust the position, you can slide it left or right. But this new thing here is cooking station stat icons on by default. There's a few things that I've done to the station. There's not an option to turn on and off some of them because they just make common sense. Like, the first thing I did was I looked at the categories in the cooking station. Here, let me go over there. Well, I'll explain it to you and then go over there. If you go to a cooking station, all of the recipes are categorized into like meat dishes, vegetable dishes, etc., etc. Those category headers contain all of the recipes for a specific group, a type of recipe. For example, meat dishes, they're all green quality recipes that buff your health. And every recipe in that category does the same thing. So, and they're all green. So I thought, well, it would be helpful, first of all, if you could color code those categories, so that if it was a category for green recipes, the category title would be green. If it was blue or purple, etc. So I did that. But I went further and I actually put this option here, which because their foods do, some just buff health, some just buff magic, some buff health and magic and stamina. The purple ones buff all three. What you can do here is you can actually opt, and it's on by default, to put a little icon after the name for each of the stats that the food in that category buffs. And there's a couple different modes for icons. I like the stars better, but so far I've got stars and circles. It's stars by default. So let me go over to a cooking station here, and just to show you what it actually does here. So you can see right off the bat, meat dishes is green recipes, and as you hover over it, it still lights up, so that's cool. It doesn't block any of the functionality, and all of the categories, as you can see here, are really nice and color coded, which makes things look so much cooler. And then next to them here are the icons that you selected. I chose stars. So as for purple, it buffs health, magic, and stamina. So that's a really cool heads-up display. Now you might notice this yellow check mark here. That is what I really wanted to show you guys, because this is what's going to help you with this new provisioning thing where you have to be grinding writs every day. If you ever go to a provisioning or any crafting station while you're on a writ and think provisioning is the worst, because let me look at these categories. It's like when you know a lot of recipes, it's just not even practical to go just scouring through all this stuff trying to find the writ recipe. It's just not even gonna happen. So if you are doing writs and you're doing cooking writs specifically, this is just like a massive help. What this does is if you're on a writ, it will put this check mark next to the category that contains the item that you need for your writ. So I don't know what I'm supposed to craft. Do I have to go look? I don't know. All you have to do is just skim through the list, find the check mark, open up that category. Oh, and look at that. The item that you need to craft is highlighted in gold, so you can go right to it. And it puts a little thing needed for the writ on the thing. When you craft it, it updates dynamically in real time. So it's going to remove that from the tooltip. It's no longer gold. If you scroll back up here, the check mark is gone from that. The other one I haven't done yet, that's still there. But, I mean, look how easy that is. I didn't have to look at anything. I have to go and check my quest log. Just click, 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 and the writ is done. So that is a massive new feature that I'm going to be updating today. So I wanted to show you guys that. I haven't been able to test out the new Psijic Ambrosia yet, just because I don't have it. I data mine the item IDs, and it's easy enough to get them from people sending links, but I would like to actually learn the recipe so that I can test out everything with it. It's pretty straightforward, but I'll have to create a new category to put it into. I only have 3 of the fragments so far, so if anybody wants to say thanks for the add-on or help me out, as you know, I've given up on trying to elicit donations just because people think that that I'm begging or something. I actually had an injury where I suffered a major head trauma, and this happened years ago when I was still a kid in Little League, and major concussion. I was slurring my speech. Well, it turns out years later, because it happened at a time in my life when I was like 10 or something and my brain was still developing, sometimes these things just happen where the blood vessels around that particular area did not heal correctly. And what that evolved into over time was what's called a brain cavernoma. And you can research it. It's kind of freaky. Basically, it's like a big grape-sized knot of malformed vessels that leak, and that's causes all kinds of problems you can imagine. Bleeding in the brain, it's not a good thing. It's basically, it's known as stroke, and that's one of the causes of death. But in my case, it's in an area of my brain that is not a super high blood pressure area, but that's a good thing. The good thing is that when the ones in the areas that mine are at leak, they rarely ever cause, it's rare for them to cause instant death, and even the effects that you suffer are relatively manageable, though they do really limit what you can do. I have times I have trouble just even talking or getting out of bed. I get really tired all the time now, which I didn't used to get. But the main thing is that it's also in a place in my brain that's incredibly deep and incredibly difficult to do anything for, because to get to it you have to go through what they call eloquent tissue, which controls all of your motor functioning. So to get to it, you have to do damage to stuff that's going to cause worse problems immediately than the symptoms of what you've already got. So you have to deal with the symptoms, and there are many. So that's why I was asking for donations, because I am currently not able to work. I'm not able to drive. I'm having, because of the seizures, they actually took my license away. So yeah, all that crap that I've been dealing with. And making add-ons is kind of a hobby that I do with my spare time while I'm going through this, because it helps me relax and get my mind off things and onto something else. So I enjoy doing it just for the sake of doing it. So I didn't want to actually make a big campaign to help save Phoenix or anything like that. I did want to mention something nice that you could do if you happen to have any extra of these. I'm trying to get the recipe. I'm going to incorporate that new one into the add-on, but these are the only ones I have so far. Number 2, number 5, and number 6. So if you have any of the other ones that you don't need or that you've already used, I would really appreciate it. My handle is @AlienDiplomat112 on the North American server. So if you're thinking of something nice, that would be something nice. And anyway, I am going to probably be uploading this later today. This is going to be 1.34. I do want to rigorously test it because, like I said, that thing with the way that I'm tracking provisioning writs, it changes a whole bunch of it. I've already pretty much tested it all day though, and the whole thing runs a ton better because of how much faster it is. But the main thing is that when you're at the crafting station, it doesn't slow down. When I first set this up, it was like when you went to craft something, there would be this pause when you did it, and that was because when it updates the list, it was having to check every single item in the list at the time that you crafted something, at the time that you changed a list, at the time that you opened a different menu. It had to check every single item, and if, like you're me, and you have hundreds of recipes known, it's having to check, generate the, evaluate the text, go through a series of algorithms that's designed to catch text for all languages, because there's a lot of special characters and stuff you have to take into account. You can't use some of the built-in functions to set everything to lowercase. There's all kinds of different caveats that you have to take into account, but it's doing all that text matching to find if this item, to get its ID and then determine if it's a writ requirement in the background for every single one of these items in the list. Every single time you did anything, it was way slow. As you can see now, it's instant, and that's because it's just as fast the way I've set it up as it is by default, because I'm not doing any of that in real time now. I'm actually using quest tracking, and like I said before, the quests, when they're updated, when you get a new quest, when you drop a quest, when you complete a quest, it will keep track of that in a database that has the item IDs of the current writ requirements, and all it has to do is for each one of these things just say it basically, is this number equal to this number, which is, in computer terms, it's like instant. So it's only doing that now, and the only time that it actually evaluates anything is one time to set those database entries, not for every single item, when you update a quest, which doesn't take any time either, and it's just insanely more efficient. So yeah, now everything is instant, and personally I dig the way that the colors came out. That's just one of those things. I am obsessive about aesthetics. So as you can see, like, the whole add-on is I don't know, one of those hobbyist things, you know, when you're painting a model rocket, it has to be, you know, perfect, just because anything worth doing is worth making it perfect, as close to, you know, perfect as you can get. That's the intent. So anyway, that's the master recipe list, version 1.34. The links are in the description, and I hope you like it. Talk to you later.